Welcome everyone here at the Löwenbräu Schwarzes Café at Zurich Art Weekend. Thank you so much for hosting us here. And welcome to everyone joining us online today. So first, I would like to introduce you to the collaborators and partners of the River Landscapes, a new glossary project. So there is Noor Ahmed, curator Karachi Biennale, Ravi Agarwal, interdisciplinary artist and researcher and curator, based in Delhi, and Mira Hirtz, curator at ZKM in Karlsruhe, Germany, and Johannes Hedinger, the director of the AIA, Institute for Land and Environmental Art. We do have here also with us Ishita Chakraborty, our interdisciplinary artist based in Switzerland. And joining us online, Shambhavi Vikram from the Science Gallery, Bangalore. And we have Anushka Rajendran from the curator from Premier Art Foundation, Delhi, that is unfortunately unable to join us today. And Urkshmini Choudhury, curator from Samdani Art Foundation. And myself, Martina Hooper, the founder and curator from We Are AIA, Awareness in Art. So the River Landscapes, a new glossary. It's a multisensory glossary and that goes beyond language, and it's a collaboration between different partner institutions from South Asia and Europe. May I hand over to you?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Just to build upon what Martina was saying, back in 2022, a few of us met here at the Löwenbräu in Martina's space, and she had an exhibition called Back to the Roots. And I remember seeing Ravi's work in that exhibition and also the work of artists who were talking about their experience living with rivers in Latin America. And Rukshmini Chaudhry, myself, Mira, Ishita, we found this working group called Beyond Geographies, where we would just share the different work that we were doing on rivers. And later in 2022, we decided that Pro Helvetia had put out an open call for an international collaboration for the first time. And we decided to jointly apply for that together as a group, drawing heavily on the work that Ravi had done throughout his career with the concept of a glossary that I'm sure he will expand on. And the idea was that we would really look at rivers and water together as South Asia and Europe.
So the idea was to create this multisensory and bottom-up glossary, so not just having experts speaking about water, but having looking into local communities, lived knowledges, folkloric knowledges, and also together with participants that are joining our team and our group. And the outcome has been different for every partner institution. Every partner institution has been working with a different methodology and adjusting their methodology to the local context, so the context in Switzerland, Delhi, Pakistan. And may I hand over now to Ravi to start?
Thank you, Martina. Thank you, Mira, for Noor, for leading the project so well. It's a very complex, multi-country project. I've just written something down because we had Swiss time of 3.5 minutes. I don't want to have many things to say, so pardon my reading it out. On river glossaries. In this project, we would like to think about rivers through the idea of a glossary. A glossary is usually understood as a list of terms and definitions. From a personal perspective over the years, working on nature landscapes and through some of my own projects, such as Samtal Zameen, Samtal Zamir, which had a growing lexicon about multi-species worlds, and the collaborative work with the glaciologist Dr. Paulina Lopez, Yekin Time, which we think about indigenous ways of looking at glaciers. I have come to think of a glossary differently, not as a tool for fixing meaning, but as a way of revealing relationships, often embedded in ways of being and relating. A river, after all, contains already many glossaries. There is the language of hydrology, engineering, and governance, through which rivers are measured, mapped, managed, and regulated. These vocabularies are important. They help us understand river systems at a scientific scale. Yet, they are not the only languages through which rivers are known. Alongside them exist other glossaries. Those are fishers, farmers, craftspeople, and communities living along riverbanks. There are words embedded in songs, oral histories, seasonal practices, and everyday acts of care. There are local names for currents, ponds, floodplains, crossings, and changing river courses. These vocabularies often carry generations of ecological observation and lived experience. Language is like an ontology of culture. What interests me is not simply the coexistence of these different forms of knowledge, but the relationships between them. For me, the idea of creating new glossaries emerges from this approach. It's not about producing a new authoritative vocabulary. Rather, it is about creating a space where multiple vocabularies can encounter one another without being reduced to a single language. In this sense, a glossary becomes less a dictionary than a site of translation, negotiation, and listening. This resonates with broader discussions around decolonizing knowledge. Colonial and modern systems often sought to classify landscapes through universal categories, rendering local knowledge partial, anecdotal, or secondary. Yet rivers have always exceeded such classifications. They are ecological systems, cultural spaces, sources of livelihood, sites of memory, and living entities all at once. It also helps us think about the relationship between the local and the planetary. Climate change compels us to engage with planetary processes, yet we experience those processes through very particular places, through a drying river, an altered monsoon, a flood, a disappearing wetland. The planetary is encountered through the local, and the local is always connected to the larger ecological systems. In this context, a glossary serves as a means of holding together different scales of understanding. It allows scientific knowledge, vernacular language, memory, craft, practice, and ecological observation to remain in conversation without requiring that one dominates the other. So when we speak of new glossaries for river landscapes, we're not only speaking about definitions, we're speaking about a practice of listening to rivers, to communities, and to the many ways in which knowledge is held, shared, and transmitted. Because a river is also language, memory, labor, history, imagination, and relation. Thank you.
I think before we proceed, we also wanted to mention that a very key member of our group, who is not here with us today, but was responsible for developing our methodology and also working closely with us over the last 3 years, is Debjani Bhattacharya, who holds a chair for the Anthropocene at the University of Zurich. And we're very grateful for the work of her and her students as part of this project. I'm going to briefly talk about one glossary that I wanted to present to all of you as a way of thinking with rivers, which is this zine right here, available digitally on our open source glossary that you can visit. And I'm just going to talk you through what our approach was when we wanted to figure out how do we talk about River Indus in this instant. So River Indus is a river that intersects a lot of South Asia, a large part of South Asia, actually. And I wanted to read out a little excerpt from historian Yusuf Hussain Abadi, who is a linguist and a scholar and a social worker based in Skardu, Baltistan, in Pakistan. And I think what Yusuf Hussain Abadi said was really interesting because it really helped us figure out how do we access the river? Do we access it in terms of history? Is it a living space? Do we access it in terms of people? And I think his work as a linguist was quite informative because for River Indus, we were really looking at oral histories that we were developing with communities that live alongside the river as a way of which to talk about it and understand it. So I'm going to read out what Yusuf Hussain Abadi says. He says, he's talking about the different names that River Indus has been given. In colloquial speech, River Indus becomes Singhe Chu, and Chu means water. In Baltistan in ancient times, before the Indus was called Daryai Sindh, which means the river of Sindh, the river was called Daryai Atak. In KPK, the northwest of the country, it was called Abasin, which is a name given to it by the Arabs. And the river is also called Nilab. In other spaces, it is denoted by names of the water saint, like Odero Lal, or taught about in the mantras of Sufi shrines that have lived and practiced ways of living with the river for millennia. And so I'm just going to play this video that allows you to kind of look at the different research that we were able to gather while we went from the north of the country to the very south, so from the glaciers that feed River Indus to the very delta of the river. And we were working with different communities that for whom the river is really a living entity, for whom the river is really a character that dictates when they wake up, what they grow, how they treat their family members. And these are just some reflections that I wanted to share. I also wanted to share that there were two communities that we were working with in the development of the zine, the Mohanas and the Mahigir. What you're looking at right now are some artifacts from the Mohana community. And on the very left is a seal from the Indus Valley civilization. And the Mohanas are a community that actually traced their ancestry back to Neolithic times. And the same boat that you can see on the seal and the animals that you can see represented on it are still how they largely live. And when working with them, we were really looking at, they live on one space called Muncher Lake, which is one of the lakes fed by River Indus. And Muncher Lake is actually now uninhabitable for most of the year. And so projects like these, where communities are really co-creating how we look at our spaces and how we talk about them through the medium of contemporary art, I think became quite valuable when we look at our world and we see what kind of a world we want to create and how we want to talk about it. So I'll end there, and I'm going to hand over to Mira.
Thank you so much, and wow, what a richness already to follow on. First of all, thank you also to the whole team for this amazing work and these amazing years. And I think what we're doing now is also to talk about this concept in large, but then also zooming in into some of these partly very elaborate and long-term or partly more specific local glossary entries that were developed. And I'm, in the frame of that, just going to talk for a moment about this glossary entry, which came out of a workshop that I was able to facilitate with students of Debshani Bhattacharya, who you just mentioned. And it was part of a field trip that we did together also with some other here in the team, and we went to Bregenz, and the idea was basically to say, okay, in the frame of a university, of a seminar, where very often we might try to look at rivers in terms of history, in terms of maps, in terms of data that are collected, what changes if we do a field trip and we actually go into the landscape? And as you can see in the title, this project is also very much about going away from a view of a river as a resource towards how is it an entangled entity within a landscape, how is it maybe a landscape itself. And something that I wanted to test, and it was a wonderful experiment, was to put my other hat on, not the curatorial hat, but the performance artist hat, and basically say, okay, and with our, I mean a very, very broad we that's very abstract, and there's not too much time to really go into that. Maybe one problem of looking at a river as a resource really comes from our perception, the means we have for perception, and especially maybe within Central Europe, how we used to look at something, coming from many, many reasons. Again, would need longer to go into. But basically bringing in theater, performative, somatic, bodily-based methods, how could we experiment with these ways of perceiving? And so it was wonderful to dive into this very specific site here. They're called the Lauteracher sand plates, and they're at the river Ache in Bregenz, and we spent time with closed eyes experiments using touch, still so thinking, for example, about how the visual sense might dominate a way of perception. We did a game where we said, okay, these are all theater actors on the stage. Who's more important? Who's the background? How does this perception might shift? So I'm saying quite specific things here just to maybe also give a taste of how this practice-based approach could also look like. And what came out of that was really a set of experiment, an offer of different methodologies that was then again within the frame of this field trip accompanied by storytelling workshops or sound-based workshops or scientific workshops. So also trying to really offer this group of students a big variety and then seeing how do they take that forward. Again, then writing glossaries themselves and taking in this practice. So yeah, so much.
Thank
Shall
you.
I hand over to...
Let's
Then I would
hand
need
over
the
to
slides. Then we would need the PDF, yes. My name is Johannes Hedding. I'm representing AIA, the ILEA. That's the Institute for Land and Environmental Art. And that's a non-profit think and do tank combining art and ecology, focusing on art production, research, and education, focusing on social ecological transformation and site-specific works. So so it was too fast. Sorry about it. It's not working. Yeah. We were working for 9 years in the Swiss Alpine Valley, Safintal, and since 2 years our base is now in Zurich North, but we continue also to work in the rural and globally. For river landscape, we're focusing on the river system of the power plant KWZ, called Zefreiler Kraftwerke. And there, they combine an area of 200 square kilometer of water they collected, and they produce about power for 110,000 Swiss households. And the collected water goes through a pipe system of 20 kilometers, and it merges in the Hinterrhein and later in Reichenau emerge together with the Vorderrhein to the Rhine and then across the North Europe and to the North Sea. Oops, again, too fast. Sorry about that. It's not working. Okay, now. With the KWZ, the collaboration started a couple of years earlier, so that helps a lot to collaborate for that project. Usually we start with a field trip and field research with local experts and bringing artists there. Ravi, you done there as well. Then we had residencies where the artist had the time to dive in the landscape, in the facilities there to produce their work. And the KWZ made it possible now to go inside to places where usually you don't have access or you don't see. And that the outcome were several interventions, like small ones, like that one of Ben Vautier, or bigger ones like Bob Gramsma, where we emptied the whole lake to produce that work. And we produced it in and with the help of the power plant. Here, Magali, who also produced an opera, Zombie Mermaid, a song for the Future Water, which was presented in the KWZ. The KWZ was the stage for this dance performance, and in the water pipe, Melody Mousse walked 11 kilometers through the mountain in the dark as a performance. So the system became place for video projection, and Badal Sarbach, for example, worked on the interrupted water system in the habitats of the fish by this power plant. Steve Rowell followed the water from Vals to the Rhine. Lara Almasekoui worked together with the Kieswerk, with the gravel pad, who take out the stones from the river. And it's not working. Okay, yeah, and Haya Frika collected stones from the river and brought it back to the local restaurants. And in the Alps Academy, also the students were working with the water and water landscapes. Sarah, who did the water books. And we had also an oral history project where we asked also the local inhabitants about the river landscapes and the memories and the conflicts. Here, that's the head of the local power plant. And also we supported long-durational research projects such as Ravi's and Paulina's, working on glaciers, not only in the Alps, but also in the Himalayas and Andes. And it's still ongoing. It was presented now in India as well. And some of these projects also ended up in these books we do, texts like and also Ishita's work. So she had a text in here, which in the end then became a performance again in this very space. And the last entry of our roughly 15 terms is happening from this side. That's the place where the Vorder- and the Hinterrhein merge in Reichenau. It's the place where the World Water Library is situated, and it's run by this guy, Ernst Bromheis, who is a water activist and extreme swimmer, long-distance swimmer. And together we developed a new form of interview, so the walk and talk. So we had a walk along Limmat. And for those who are here tomorrow, we do another walk in Oerlikon tomorrow at 11. So you're all welcome to join. Thank you.
Thank you. So with We Are AIA, with my association, we've been thinking of how can we name with rivers rather than about, and how can we get back into the field and literally be with the river and be together. And so as well, together with Mira, we've been doing these workshops. We've been developing these workshops together with Debjani Bhattacharya. And also for my institution, we were thinking of how can we listen and practice care, as Ravi beautifully said before. And I would like to introduce you to one of the glossary entries we've been doing. And our methodology was very much inspired by Noor's practice while directing the Citizens Archive of Pakistan and looking into the oral histories. So I've been doing a lot of research on Swiss folk tales, methodologies, always site-specific, looking at the rivers where we've been then doing our workshops and our performances. So the River Tones workshop and performance happened at the Werenbach. It's a little river close to, like in Zurich, that is going into the Zurich Lake, that has many names also and many stories. And we did that together with the composer Andres Bosshardt and with the vocalist Constanza Pellicci and the flutist Melody Chua. And we were thinking together, how can we make this co-creational? How can we develop a project together with the participants? So we had the participants filming, recording their own thoughts, but as well different sounds. And what came together is the video that we are going to show you a little extract out of it.
The river has its own singing, and the river listens to the sound of the airplane. And when you listen to the airplane, you see it makes woo, woo, as Melody and Constanza sung to them very nicely. This is the air. The airplane goes and you hear the difference of the sound in the air. Now you hear the tram, very fine coming. And then you hear also the water sound coming from the tree. Can you hear it? Now it's a wonderful magic moment. I've specially composed it for you tonight.
Die Idee Fluss bedeutet Zeit, das Unaufhaltsame, das Voranschreitende. Man kann nicht zurück. Es hat auch etwas ja, Unerbittliches, etwas von unantastbarem Kern.
Thank you. Would you switch back to the website? I would like to end with a quote from one of the participants. So, when you start walking, a transformation begins not only from the flow, from city noise into a murmuring storm. Our cells are singing. When we hear that, nothing can harm us anymore. It is a powerful energy. So I'm gonna end here. We have 10 minutes left for Q&A, so we would love to open it to... Oh, sorry. Oh, no. We have the online participations. I'm so sorry. Then we are over time, I see. We have... Yeah. Yes. Rukshmini, can you please log in?
Hi, I'm here. So I will switch off my video just so that you can hear me clearly, and I'll open a presentation. Can you see? Okay, yeah, I can see. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruxmini Chaudhary, and I'm a curator at the Samdani Art Foundation. And for the river landscape glossary, I worked on a project that's called Once River Was the Highway. And the reason I chose this name because if you look at the map of Bangladesh, so this is the you can see the main rivers of Bangladesh, and it really looks like the veins that have like a spread around the map. And so Bangladesh is often described as a riverine country, and I think till early 2000, there were around 1,182 rivers, and the recorded names of the rivers were like 1,300. And then, these rivers, they split, they bend, and each, when you see, if you trace the rivers, you see that the name of the river changes continuously. So that's why we have we have more than 1,300 names. And but now, a lot of rivers have died and on the verge of dying because of the human intervention as well as the climate change. So I really wanted to look at the memories of these rivers, the memories, histories, and I took a approach of storytelling through that. And so my first entry that I did, I think mine was a bit different from others. So I actually looked into my own personal encounter with the river Padma. And so I grew up near the bank of Padma River. And you see, this is kind of like the changes that happened of the river within 20 years. So I have seen this river to go sometimes being wild, sometimes there are small islands popping up. And So the name Shorbonasha is used for this river because of its disastrous nature. But interestingly, when I say it in English, disastrous sounds really bad. But when I say it in Bangla, Shorbonasha, it also has this romantic tone to it. Like you have a relationship with a lover, a wild lover, a friend, someone you can rely on to. So the songs that we hear in Bangladesh, the Bhatiali songs, which are the songs of the rivers, the Padma becomes sometimes a friend, a dear friend who you can tell about your problems. You can ask them to, like, ask her to mend your pain from a broken love. They can also become, Padma also becomes a wild lover that you cannot stay away from. You know that Padma is going to destroy you, but you always want to go back. And it sometimes takes on as a fierce deity that you plead, don't destroy me, please make me find my way. So these songs, living beside the river and listening to these songs, mostly from my mother, I kind of worked the first entry as kind of like a storytelling method, and worked on the song Shorbonasha Podda Nodi, which you see like Podda River. So I really looked at the river. I really looked at kind of my experience, and also how I associate river and the song together. So I'll again go to my second entry because the second entry is also very close to my heart because I live in Dhaka for I'm living here for half of my life. So, and so interestingly, the place where I live, my father told me that it was under the river Burigonga. And so he was telling me few years ago that when he was showing me where he used to live in the 1980s in Dhaka. And then he told me that, from here, the bank of the Burigonga started. And I checked on Google Map, and it's from here, from that place, my father pointed out to my house. It's around 6 kilometers. So my house is right now at the edge of the river bank. So the river has actually shifted quite a lot. So I wanted to look at the old map of Dhaka, and I found this really old map from like 1781, which was done by James Rennell. And I saw that, like, I don't know why my cursor is working, but you see there is like the river, there is a, I don't know how you can see. I'm sorry, I cannot point out the cursor there, but the river that you see on the bottom was which is the Burigonga River. And only a tiny part of that was occupied at that time. But now, all the river, like you see up, is the Dhaka city has also covered that. Dhaka city has also went beyond that, also beyond the Burigonga River. And then I found out, like, there are tiny, like, really small rivers that were covering this map. We do not see that river anymore. It's not there. I tried to find out, and I found that there are small canals around which where actually when I traced that map, I found that like those canals are actually where the rivers that Renel has pointed out in his map. So I collaborated with Ahmed Russell, who is a photographer and artist. So he was tracing the water bodies of Dhaka city. And when he heard my idea, we kind of like collaborated together to kind of explore this river these lost rivers, and that's why we named this like Chaya Nodi, which means shadow river. So the river that has been faded, river that was there, but it's not there anymore. So every time when I pass that place where my father pointed out, I remember about that river. I feel like, I feel that like the ghost of the river is there. And through that, this entry has like been created. And also, so Ahmed Russell, like, he was working on that. And we also kind of like found out like the river Burikonga, the fish that is there, they
Rukshmini,
are
I'm
uneatable. Yes,
I'm really sorry to interrupt you.
I am done.
You-
That this was last slide. So we also kind of tried to kind of look at the coast of the fish and the fish that are there that you cannot eat anymore because the river is so much polluted. Yes, so I'm done with my presentation.
Thank you, Rukshmini. We're going over to Shambhavi now.
Hi, thanks, Martina. Hi, I'm Shambhavi. I'm representing Science Gallery, Bengaluru. Very excited to be sharing our trilingual glossary with you today. Because we have 18 contributions, it'll be a little tough for me to take you through each contribution. I just wanted to showcase, if you could just share my screen. Yeah, so here are wonderful contributors who have really made this work come alive. I'm going to speak briefly about our methodology and approach towards developing this glossary. The glossary is titled River Landscapes Reimagining the Kaveri. A quick brief background into the Kaveri itself, our chosen site for the curation of this glossary. The Kaveri, also known as Ponni, is a major river flowing across southern India. It is the third largest river in the region and encompasses the states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, and the Union Territory of Puducherry. There are a number of dams on the river which form part of an extensive irrigation system and are used for the generation of hydroelectric power. These dams were among the first multi-purpose reservoirs built in colonial India. The river has supported agriculture for centuries and has served as the lifeline of several kingdoms in the past. Access to the river's waters has been a cause of dispute among the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu for decades. The Kaveri Basin is a densely populated region with several towns and cities located on its banks. Now, for this glossary, we bring together multiple words through which we might know the river Kaveri. Multiple words such as which kind of crisscross between scientific, cultural, historical, legal, and ecological, show us how meanings like rivers are shaped by time, use, and power. The result, we hope, is not a definitive account, but a layered, unstable, and live dialogue through a shared attention. Spanning across disciplines, we imagine the river less as a linear flow and more as a fluvial landscape shaped by thresholds between upstream and downstream, data and experience, governance and intimacy, extraction and sustenance. We have scientists, artists, historians, environmentalists, young adults, and community practitioners, amongst others, who return to moments where established languages falter, where a dam becomes a wound, a flood an archive, a riverbank a classroom, a dispute a sedimented history. The glossary holds these frictions without resolving them. Hydrological terms sit beside ritual practices. Legal abstractions encounter sediment, song, infrastructure, loss, and care. The glossary, most importantly, invites nonlinear reading. A significant part of the effort of our methodology has been a focus on language. The glossary has been published in 3 languages: English, Kannada, and Tamil. Through this attempt, we really want to foreground translation not as a neutral transfer of meaning, but as a productive site of difference. Each language carries distinct histories and relationships to the river. So in moving between these languages, we hope that meanings shift, thicken, and sometimes refuse equivalences as well. We encourage our readers to move back and forth between these realities and contradictions and hold space for what words cannot contain. We offer this glossary as a living resource, hoping that it can be expanded, unsettled, and reworked as the Kaveri continues to be known, contested, damaged, and cared for. If the glossary has an ethic, it is attentiveness to language, of course, to landscape, and to the responsibilities that arise when we speak of a river that sustains and exceeds us. We especially think of riverine identity, which is strongest where dependency is coupled with shared governance and memory, where dependency exists without responsibility or responsibility without recognition, both community and river lose coherence. I'm going to end by inviting all of you to please go through our 450-page word glossary, and we hope that this publication will find its way into everyday conversation about the Kaveri in the region and meander beyond with insights useful to think with for river landscapes elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do not have time for a Q&A now because I have the role of the timekeeper. I'm really sorry. We will able to take on one question while changing the setup for the performance by Kim de l'Horizon that we are very much looking forward to. So if you have one question, then we take this on while exchanging the setup.
Thank you very much to all of you, and congratulations on this wonderful project. I mean, you've been working a lot and hard on this project. So my question is, what's the next step? You know, how does it continue to flow?
No, we move on, right? We keep moving, we keep flowing, and we gather. Is that an answer? A vape. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't meant to be. I didn't want to be flippant, but it's sort of a difficult question to answer.
I think the research we've been all doing continues to get into our own practices and kind of is inspiring our practices and lives on through the different exchanges and further projects that we are all planning, and I guess the friendships that we made also. So we continue to work together on the topic, and also as we've been doing before, kind of as a continuation.
Maybe we think of the complexity of nature we are in, and not just one thing, and maybe all this tells us how complex is our relationship to the world. Maybe that'll help all of us. Thank you. Thank you, Martina.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to introduce you to Kim de l'Horizon, born 2666 on Gaeten, into writing, performing and witchcraft. Landing here on earth was hard, as there has yet to be done so much to arrive in the year of Our Lady 2666. So much horizon to be brought into the center, so much eye to be fluidified. Kim currently studies witchcraft and starhawk and how sedentarization was the start of the whole mess we're in. Apart from literature and witchcraft, Kim writes and performs for theater. Blutbuch was awarded the German Book Prize and the Swiss Book Prize 2022. The novel has been translated into 17 languages and adapted several times for the stage. For the play Die kleinen Meerjungfrauen, Kim de l'Horizon received both the Mülheimer Dramatics Prize and the Audience Award. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm very happy to see all of you joining our service today, our divine service of the Alpine cult that we have here. Maybe not all of you may be familiar with it. I grew up also in the mountains, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this service today. Because you're a bit more people than I thought you would be. I would need 3 priestesses to help me quickly distribute something in the beginning. Could I have 3? Yes, yes. And I would need 2 more people. Yes, okay. So this is water from the glacier of Kandar, and we will distribute a drop per leaf each. I am so pleased to see so many enthusiasts of Kandara. It's really a great pleasure. Thank you for coming. Drache, wo bist du? Hab überall gesucht, denk ich, du. In jedem Klack und auf jeder Matt, ich suche dich. Krutze, Klack, Kandara, ich habe lange Zeit im Nack, muss ich dich lassen gehen. Welcome. I will read you from our holy text, the Alpine Cosmology. As I'm sure most of you know it already. Actually, I think maybe I would go with time and read not directly from the text, but from my cell phone to show you that we are not a conservative cult, okay? So, yes, we've distributed the drops of water from the glacier, and I ask you to keep it solemnly while I hold the service. In the beginning, there was nothing. That was way before Kandara existed, the glacier. That was even way before Kandara was just one river in the whole region, and it flew wherever water was needed. But that was a long time ago. That was in the beginning, when everything was nothing. This everything, in the Alps, we call it Grutzeglak. Grutzeglak, it might be translated as, you can't really translate it. It's just the Kruttenklag, okay? It's the thing that lacks even things that could be lacking. It's the absolute nothingness, the abyss of the abyss, the gaps of gaps. But then, in Grutzeglak, there was an anomaly once. Something came out of nothing, and this no thing was no thing, no object. It was a cow. Jingeloch die Hore was her name. Mother of eternal milks, giver with millions of tits, redigester with 1,000 stomachs, and regurgitator with 3 horns. Jingalochdihora, her name was. And she was the almost destroyer of the pregalactic nothing that was called Chrutzachlak. And so when she suddenly was, she stuck her 3 horns into the belly of Chrutzachlak, and there 3 drops of blood of nothing came out. And she fed on these drops of nothing. And thus she strengthened. And so strengthened, she dared ask the first question in the universe. In the Alps, we have a weird way of asking things. We don't really ask, it's more like a demand. Wenn du wolltest das Brot schneiden, if you were to cut the bread, it actually means cut the bread now. Okay. So the first question ever by Jingalochdihora, first of cows, mother of mothers, was Chrutzachlak, oh huge, immense, eternal nothing that I have almost destroyed. One question. If you were to become something, you couldn't, could you? You could never become something. Oh, yawning abyss of nothing. You couldn't even become, let's say, a mountain? Chrutzachlak wouldn't have this provocative question, and from his midst, Mother Mountain burst out. Mother, matter, mater, materhorn, and Mother was so big and of such earthen, grounded strength that Chrutzachlak, nothing, was split in the middle. And thus the first of all mountains appeared, the earth. Okay. Bigosh, not bad, Chrutzachlak, said Jingalochdihora. I'm impressed, but one time lucky, maybe no time lucky. I guess you wouldn't... No, you couldn't. Could you? I guess you couldn't become something else even, could you? Like maybe, let's say, a tree. Chrutzachlak wouldn't have this provocative question, oh no, and from his midst, a large tree, the first of all trees, appeared. And it pushed nothing away, up and down the tree. And where it touched Chrutzachlak's belly, the first skies opened up, and clouds and rains. And where the twigs and leaves pushed through the limits of nothing, the sun sparked, and the moon, and the stars. And below it connected to Mother Mountain, and it reached deep through Mother Mountain and pushed nothingness further away even. Okay, yeah, not bad. Okay, I'm starting to get impressed. Chrutzachlak. Okay, but 2 time lucky can be 1 time nucky. So I guess would you like become something else even? Like, let's say, a river? Or even fish. A river with fish. You know the drill. Chrutzachlak wouldn't have this provocative question, and from his midst, to prove his might, Kandara sprung, the glimmering glow, the flow of all the big waters that did not yet have a bed, but flew like dragons where the water was needed, and in it were animals. But that was not all, for Chrutzachlak has had enough. He had understood the game that Jingalochdihora, first of cows, mother of mothers, destroyer of nothing, was playing. And he changed himself into Tatzelwurm, the alpine dragon, first of dragons, first of his names, knowing air and knowing fire. And he wanted to show that stupid cow where she could ask her stupid questions. Chingelochtihora, however, may have been old already when time was young, but she was the first of all of cows, first of aunties. And she was sau schlau, as we say, smart as a pig, and that is a compliment. For in secret, she had carved a plan. She had fed the children of nothingness, the children that she helped to be born with her questions. In secret, she had given them her milk, given her milk to Mother Mountain, to Large, the tree, and to Kandara, glacier of glaciers, river of rivers. And thus the children of nothing and cow had reached cosmic powers. And here maybe I have to give some context yet. So they all had read at this time, they all had read the ancient Greeks, of course, and the early Abrahamites and the texts of the Romans. And so the children of nothingness and cow, they knew that like angry, godly father figures like Chrutzechlach, they just don't like their own children, yeah? Yeah, it's like the daddies always want to kill their own children because there can only ever be one daddy, right? And because they always already have overthrown their own fathers, these father gods, they know that the children will also want to kill the fathers, and so they also already know the drill. And they always tell them to their subjects, like, take me as your God. Yeah, take me as your heavenly father, because I'm like so much less chaos than my father was, right? So it's like pick me patriarchs, yeah. So worship me and I will protect you from the chaos that my father was. Yeah, and so also like all children, the cosmic children didn't want to become like the other children and also not like become like their father. They didn't want to be like the other girls. And so they didn't want to kill their own father because they know killing your father never ends well, right? So they planned another plan. And here it comes. Chrutzechlach, the angry dragon now, attacked the four of them. But they, having drunk the milk of Chingelochtihora, were super strong. And so Kandara, first of glaciers, tied up around the dragon's fiery throat. And Large, the whirling tree, shot branches through his midst and controlled them. And Mother Mountain stretched all over them and clung to the dragon wings and claws and feet and tail. And Chingelochtihora, Mother, she wanted to defeat the evil head of nothingness itself. She wanted to adopt the abyss, to transform the source of nothingness. And she wanted to give him also her milk. So Chrutzechlach, the dragon, right? So we imagine the scene is like tied down everywhere except for his head, but that was still super powerful, and it moved so fast to like evade the tits that she was trying to force on him. The head moved so quickly; it sprung into three, and so they fought, the four of them, and the one that now was three. And no matter how hard they fought, it was clear no one could win. So they fought and fought and fought and fought and fought. But after thousands of years, they agreed that it was a draw, that they would make a deal. 2 of the 3 heads of Chrutzechlach would drink the milk and become loving and kind. And the last head, however, should not drink milk, and so still remain the gate of nothingness. So we now see here at the core of the Alpine cosmology is this dragon, this cosmic dragon with 3 heads. The first head giving life, everyone that will become will come and enter through the first head. The second head of the cosmic dragon is growth, right? So everyone that has already become, that came, will keep becoming one and become one and unone, like next steps, you know, in your evolution, by magic of the second mouth. And then the third head was, as we know, the gate to nothingness. And everyone that will become and has kept becoming, everyone that is and was and might become, will be made undone by the third head. And so it was decided there will be life, there will be growth and change, and then there will be nothing. But Chingelochtihora wouldn't be called Chingelochtihora if she hadn't already planned a plan, right? To undo the one who wants to undo all. And so when the deal was agreed and the four of them let Hrutzachlak free, she was the first to jump into the dragon's third mouth. Mother of mothers jumped right into the hunger of nothingness. And there's like just a side comment among like scholars. There's a fight kind of if like this is already read as like a patriarchal reading. You know, the first mother is sacrificing herself. But there's like a side document that says, oh no, actually she was having like a blast. She like was done being a mother and she was in the belly of the dragon and she just finally could stop being a mother. So it was like she was really all fine, and it wasn't really like she said, "Oh, I'm sacrificing myself," but yeah, she just also wanted a way out of being the cosmic mother. Yeah, that's just a side comment for the scholarly interested. So, so remember, like the third mouth. We said was the gate to nothingness. And so now, because Chingelochtihora, with all of her stomachs, jumped into that mouth, it stopped being nothing and it started being death, right? So that is how the circle, the spiral of life was created, from life to death to life again. Because as we all know, the cows' stomachs, they redigest, and so they were also in the dragon's stomach now. Yeah, when the dragon realized that the stupid cow had kind of won, he was like really so angry. He just couldn't take it anymore, and he just jumped onto Mother Mountain, and then also like Kandara came, and also Large, the first tree, and they all were like fighting, and that's when they all like splittered. And so that's why we don't have one mountain anymore and one tree and one river, but that's how all the rivers and forests and mountains came into being. And that is how and why there's this dragon living in the mountains with the three heads that are not good, not evil, yet both of the above. The dragon that is father of mothers, mother of fathers, and uncles and sissies. Yeah, okay, I think I'm going to jump a tiny bit. Like I'm going to jump book 2 to 45 because we all know the drill, right? So you all know how then bacteria came, and then, you know, bacteria kind of built bodies around them so they wouldn't have to walk around the earth and like collect food for themselves, but so they had like higher developed animals that would like go around and eat stuff, and the bacteria could just like chill inside their bellies, watch Netflix, and just the food would keep coming, right? Yeah, so I think I'm gonna jump to like after Gilgamesch's lament. That's yeah, because we all remember Gilgamesch's lament, right? Yes. No? Oh, it's I don't know if we have time for Gilgamesch's lament. I mean, it's just such a tragic story. Like, we all know it, right? I wouldn't know if I could... Yeah, maybe I would need some help with, like, with the sadness and it all. But, yeah. But as I think maybe I have interpreted your laughter that maybe you're not that familiar with Gilgen Max's Lament, which is like today's a special day, so it's okay. I'm gonna maybe do it again, but mustn't tell the, yeah, so it's like right a long time after Chrutsnachlach and Chingalach di Hor and the whole shebang. And there is earth and life and death, and it's all settled. And yeah, so Gilgen Max, there's also another version of this tale, like quite far away. It's called Gilgamesh, but actually Gilgen Max, yeah, they're like really close together, right? So yeah, you know how all mythologies, or not all, but many, through the lineages of early nomadic human history have strong links over far stretches. But so, okay, so Gilgen Max wakes up one day. The bacteria inside of him and evolution have just created the ego, okay? So he looks in the mirror, and he's like, yeah, so he looks inside the mirror, and he's like, ooh, okay. I'm pretty hot. And I'm pretty smart too, I think. Right? and like I'm the king of humans, right? So it's just such a shame that I will have to die, right? I mean, look at that biceps. Look at those hair. It's just such a shame that Chingeloch di Hore didn't fully win, you know? I mean, she kind of ended nothingness, okay, but there's still death. I don't know if I can take it. After all, I am the king of men. And so, yeah, I'm also going to jump this part because that's like the kind of violent part. When King Gilgamesh, like, he becomes this asshole. I'm sorry, but he's like, it's not funny, you know. He's like, he would rape the bride that was going to be married, and then he would fight the husband, and he would also rape the husband. He was just this raging, like, bisexual, and he would just sit around all day and drink alcohol and play games, and he was just able to do all of that because he was so strong, right? He was the strongest of men. And yeah, of course he was doing that to forget that he would have to die. But so the gods, they're kind of like, oh, we have to do something about it, right? And so they sent an equal to him, like they sent Enkidu. He's also a human, but he grew up in the forest, in the wild. And yeah, they fight, and for the first time, King Gilgamesh has like an equal, and they can't win. And so at some point they decide that they would cuddle a bit, and and they would become roommates and comb each other's hair and all of that. But like, they're not gay, right? Because this is a holy text. Like, the scientists agree. It's just masculinity was so different back then. Okay, good. So yeah, they kind of had a blast, and we're just best friends. And after some time, then King Gilgamesh still realized that he would have to die one day. And in the gym, he just said, buddy, I kind of want to become immortal. And Enkidu says, wow, yeah, wild. So you don't want to go into the third mouth of Chrutsachlach. That's what you mean, right? It's like, yeah, okay. I guess you would just have to do something that's like whack, that's just like so out there that humans will invent scripture for you, and they will invent narrative, and they will make you the first hero ever, and you will just really survive like this. And Gilgamesh was like, yeah, I kind of have an idea how to become this immortal hero. We just have to kill a monster, right? But not any monster. Monster that is a god itself. The monster that is the god of water. We shall have to kill Kandara, the spirit of the glaciers, to become immortal. And so they do. They kill Kandara, the spirit of glaciers and rivers. And some of the gods are like raging, and they want to like kill them. But then the father god comes and is like, actually, like Gilgamesh is kind of my favorite, like because he's so strong and masculine and kingly and noble, and I see a great deal of myself in him, so he shall be spared. Fine then, the girl gods say, but the other one shall die, Enkidu. Enkidu shall die. And so that is what happens. Enkidu dies. And looking at my clock, I jumping the part where Enkidu dies, and I will just read the last part where it's actually the lament of Gilgamesh. And so after Enkidu dies, Gilgamesh is just devastated. And that is here. That is the part when he finds his voice again. It's, Gilgamesh goes out into the forest and where the glacier was, further up, where the river was. And in the dried up bed of the river, he finds his voice again, and he says, "The day itself shall cry for you, Enkidu. The night shall cry for you, and I will have dusk and dawn cry for you, my Enkidu. The glacier that we killed and the rivers that we killed shall cry for you. Kandara herself, the goddess that we killed, shall cry for you. I personally will atone for what we have done and make the gods forgive you, Enkidu. The paths that we took up to the glacier to kill the mother of rivers, they too will cry for you. And the waters, all the waters that there ever were, shall be made into tears for you, my Enkidu. Cry for you, the fir trees will, the large trees and the birch trees, under which we raged and ran from our fear of death. The bears and the wolves, the stag and the flies, the shit of shits and the glow, and red and black and white and blue, everything shall cry for you. As if they were sisters, your sisters, the stars will cry for you. As if they were your brothers, the songs will cry for you. And as if they were your siblings, the gods will cry for you. And with all those who cry, and all at the same time, I shall cry for you too. I will cry for you in 1,000 years. And I will become immortal, so I can keep crying for you. I shall kill death in order to keep your memory alive. And I shall teach my laughter and my chokes how to cry for you. And even in my kissing someone else, I will cry for you. And even in my words, should they ever come out of my lips, even if I utter words denying all of this, I will cry for you. I'm missing you, I cry for you, until you are alive again or time will end. But I won't die, and what I cry for you will never end. So that's the end of book 45, and also almost the end of our service. And to remember all those who had to die because some kings wanted to live forever, I will now ask you to sing with me the holy song of our cult that I'm sure all of you know by heart, even I, but I will still, just to make you feel better, look at the text. I will sing it in German. I think the English translation doesn't fully fit the rhythm, but it's also there to give you a bit the content. Drachin, wo bist du, ich vermisse dich, Enki, du. Drachin, wo bist du, ich vermisse dich, Enki, du. Ich habe dich gesucht über Berg und Tal, in jedem Klack, auf jeder Matt. Krutze, Klack, Kandara, ich habe lange Zeit im Nack, muss ich euch lassen. Krutze, Klack, Kandara, ich habe lange Zeit im Nack, muss ich euch lassen. From the top. Drachin, wo bist du, ich vermisse dich, Enki, du. Drachin, wo bist du, ich vermisse dich, Enki, du. Ich habe dich gesucht über Berg und Tal, in jedem Klack und in jeder Matt. Krutze, Klack, Kandara, ich habe lange Zeit im Nack, muss ich euch lassen. Krutze, Klack, Kandara, ich habe lange Zeit im Nack, muss ich euch lassen. Thank you.